to speak with a fire strong, healing us, lifting where we belong. From the nick of the message clear, hope and strength the world can hear.
Voices rise, the island proud. Push past them, we chant it loud. Unity, love, that's the plan. Caribbean soul for every land. Push past them, we shine again. Come the leading hearts ascend. From the Caribbean here to go. Push past them, strength for all. Push past them, we shine again. Come the leading hearts ascend. From the Caribbean here to go. Push past them, strength for all.
Mental health and truth she bring. Voices out when the people sing. Breaking silence, breaking chains. Push past them, runs through our veins.
Every shore the fire grow. Caribbean let the whole world know. Dr. Simone, your star will glow. Push past then we're on the show.
Lift your voice and let it spread. Push past them, the world is fed. From the Caribbean shore so wide. Dr. Leading, we march with pride.
Push past them, we shine again. Dr. leading hearts are sent. From the Caribbean here to call. Push past them, the strength for all. Push past them, we shine again. Dr. leading hearts are sent. From the Caribbean here to call. Push past them, the strength for all.
Holy Ghost.
Yes, guys. So I wanted to come to you today with some breaking news that we recently saw released from the government of Dominica. So if the news has not yet already missed you, has not yet already reached you, then it looks like there's some good news for Dominica. There is a new minimum wage requirement to go into effect on December 1st, 2025. So, if you're from Dominica, folks are always asking, but what you giving me for my Christmas now? So here is the government response. And I see folks are coming in. So guys, come on in. Rona, Athenia, everyone who's coming in, don't forget to share the live. Let everyone know that we are here and we are live. And we're just going to take a couple of minutes and look at the new minimum wage increases that are proposed for Dominica. And I know that you, like me, you have some questions, because when I saw this, some questions very quickly came to mind. So let us see what this is all about. So as we can see on the screen, it says Commonwealth of Dominica, Ministry of Labor, Public Service Reform, Social Partnership, Entrepreneurship, and Small Business Development. And it begins by saying, Government of Dominica announces new minimum wage structure effective December 1st, 2025. So just in time for your Christmas, you're going to see a boost in your minimum wage structure in Dominica. So Rosa Dominica, November 28th, 2025, the government of Dominica announces a revised national minimum wage structure to take effect on December 1st, 2025. Following the announcement in the budget address of July 2025, the government appointed a minimum wage advisory board comprising representatives from the public and private sectors employer groups, and trade unions. The board undertook a detailed analysis of current labor market realities and the prevailing average wage levels within the OECS. Dominica's minimum wage structure was last reviewed in 2021. So following the comprehensive review and pursuant to the labor standards, the minimum wage order 2025, the cabinet has approved the revised minimum wage rates as follows. So here is what the rates are going to go from and to. And even before we start talking about what the rates are going from and to, the question that I have in mind, and of course, feel free to post your own questions. The questions I have in mind was, were employees even receiving this minimum rate as stated under the column that says 2021 rate? So that is the first question that comes to mind. Were employees even receiving those minimum rates listed in the column that says 2021 rates? But let's play along here. So we see that the rates are going to increase from 2021 to 2025, which is this year. And let's take a look at some of the categories. So we see workers and laborers in the agriculture sector. You're going to get a boost from $7.50 to $9.75 per hour, 30% increase. Daily paid workers, you're going to go from $7.50 to $9, a whopping $1.50 increase. Cashiers, receptionists, you're going to get a boost to $9.42. Home assistants, if you're receiving meals from your employer, you will go from $200 a week to $240. Now, keep in mind that the Prime Minister has told us that if you work for $1,000 a month, you should be able to save $250 out of that $1,000 a month. So you out of that $1,000 a month. So you do the math and you figure out if you're working for $942, if you're working for $240 a week, how much are you making a month? And now keep in mind that that is before all your deductions. That is not your net income. That is your gross income. So do the math as we go along. Home assistance, if you're not receiving meals, you should expect to receive up to $300 a week with this new increase. And it goes on to bartenders and room attendants and public area attendants, janitors, and other skilled workers, example, laborers in construction, $7.50 an hour. So, and it ends by saying, building a resilient public sector, public service, a collective response. So again, building a resilient public service, a collective response. So again, for those of us who are always saying, what you giving me for my Christmas? Here is the response from the government of Dominica to your question. But as we mentioned before, this begs some other important questions. And I'm sure that you too have your questions in mind. So feel free to add them to the discussion. As I see folks are coming in on the Facebook and the YouTube Live, go ahead and share this very exciting news that there's going to be a minimum wage rate increase in Dominica. So you should expect to see that increase in your paycheck as of December 31st. How many days in December? 30 days of September, April, June, and November. Yeah, 31 days in December. So you should expect to see that minimum rate boost in your check by the end of December of 2025. But it begs the question, so who is going to be responsible for enforcing this new minimum rate requirement? Right? So we're just asking practical questions, and we know that Dominica, unfortunately, is not a place where questions are welcome or invited, but those are the questions that we have to ask, because I'm sure that a lot of people are looking forward to the increase in pay in their paycheck from December 31st of 2025. But on the practical side of things, who is going to be responsible for enforcing that new minimum rate requirement? Right? So that to me is the number one question that comes to mind. And then other questions start popping up, such as, considering all the additional expenses, including DOMLEC and WASCO and import charges and all the other charges that our businesses in Dominica are currently facing, true hardship for many Dominican businesses, do businesses have the resources to be able to afford this increased rates? So we're not saying that employees are not deserving of these increased rates, but can employers afford this increased rates, even if they were inclined to increase the rates of their employees? And what will be the repercussion, right? So if I'm an employer and I genuinely want to increase the rates of pay for my employees, will I need to fire some other employees? So will some employees lose their jobs in order to meet this new minimum wage requirement for other employees? So again, just all very practical questions. And given this increase in minimum wage requirements in Dominica, I would have hoped that we would have seen a press conference, a statement with questions and answers to follow this very important breaking news. And then finally, I'm sure that you as well are thinking, well, what is the recourse for me as an employee if I do not receive this increase in my minimum wage salary? So if I am an employee, I'm a cashier, and I'm supposed to get an increase in pay, and my employer, and it has happened because I was just speaking to someone on the phone and explaining what's going on. And the first thing the person told me is when they worked in Dominica a few years ago, and a similar increase in wages was set to be implemented, the employer simply said, don't even think about it. You are not going to get an increase in your salary, in your wages. And as a matter of fact, I am doing you a favor by having you employed at my facility. So to me, that indicates that if you dare challenge the employer, you'll be fired. So what is the recourse if employees are not seeing the increase in their salaries, in their wages? Who do they turn to? Where do they turn? How is this dispute going to be resolved? So lots of questions as we're seeing this new minimum wage requirement being brought to the forefront in Dominica. But again, it's an opportunity to celebrate, because we're seeing that just in time for Christmas 2025, the government of Dominica is giving us an answer to the question that so many Dominicans ask when they run into you on the streets or wherever. what you giving me for Christmas this year? So I hope that everyone receives the bump in pay that they're so deserving of, and that it will help them to have a bright and wonderful and Merry Christmas. But again, I beg the question, who should we turn to with the questions and the concerns we have? And maybe this information was broadcasted elsewhere. I don't know, because the government is very selective in terms of the media outlets that information is provided to. So I truly hope that they will see it fit to provide this information to all media outlets. I know that the press secretary is very familiar with my inbox. She knows very well how to contact me. So hopefully we will hear from them. And as soon as we do, we will be sure to provide you with the resources or the contact information for so many of us who have so many questions about this increase in the minimum wage requirements in Dominica. So feel free to share your questions, share your thoughts. And if we have someone who reaches out to us to provide those answers and to provide those insights into the questions we're asking, I will be sure to relay your message. So with that, I bid you happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, all the other ways we say happy holidays at the end of the year. And I see we have some input from Lee Elvis, who says now he wants to do all kind of things in Dominica. Move your hungry salary increase there. We don't want it. What we want is you out of office, and the code is all blue. So a bunch of blue hearts. So thank you, Lee, for your contribution to the discussion. So again, if you have questions, you have concern, hey, Mago, how are you doing? We're just talking about that new minimum wage increase that we're seeing in Dominica just in time for the Christmas season. And we say congratulations. We say congratulations to Mr. Help me with his name. Is it Godwin Friday out there in St. Vincent, who has secured victory in the national elections out there in St. Vincent. So maybe this is a timely proposition that we are seeing that, there's action on the ground in Dominica. Who knows? An election might be right around the corner. So let's make sure that while we see these increases in the minimum wage, we're also asking the questions, the relevant questions that we asked before. How will this be implemented? Who will be responsible for ensuring that our Dominican employees receive this minimum wage increase? What will be their recourse if they do not see the increase in their paychecks beginning December 31st? And will some employees lose their jobs because the employers have decided to increase the rates for other employees to the detriment of the employees who will be losing their jobs? So again, guys, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. And I hope that you will pass those questions on and we will be able to come back. I have about a collective 40,000 followers that I manage here on Facebook. So I'm sure they would love the answers to those questions. So if you have the information, don't be stingy. Feel free to pass it along and I will be sure to share it with the audience. So with that, enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a happy, happy holiday. If I don't see you before the end of the year, I will see you before the end of the year. I have Roots Connections on December 10th. So don't forget to join us for Roots Connections. But anyway, you have yourself a wonderful weekend. Take care.